just a long drive with nothing to think about besides. I'm ready to get better now. I swear at least I'll try. How the world around me rings. My heart is done goodbye. Strangest things.
How's it going, everyone? This is Wired Up, talking to you from the ruins of the former industrial nexus of the country, Flint, Michigan. Today, we're going to talk about dealerships and that life. If you've ever worked at one, you may know what I'm talking about. Hi, Admiral Praxis. How's it going, man? Good to see you. So, as many of you know, big shout out to Majority Report for reading my IM today, where I talked about really quickly to promote that I'm going to be talking about. Well, I dig the backdrop. Oh, thank you so much. It's a generic thing I found online. I want somebody to build a custom one, but need money for that. I quit my job. Hi, Mysterious. So, we're going to be doing some talking today. Some outing of some things you may or may not know about that dealership life. Now, I've worked at two already, and the job that I just quit was at a dealership. I became witness to a lot of things that I had not known about regarding things like the pay scale, the incentive scale, the SPIF program. Now, these are universal things around dealerships. So, where I was at in the oil bay, I did get paid those incentives to sell things. Now, I'm a very even-minded person and never tried to sell anybody anything that they didn't need. Not everyone was quite so lucky and quite so adamant about not doing that. A lot of people were very, very financially focused. So a lot of times try to sell things that people don't really need. Like the first place I worked at, that was a thing. Someone basically stealing spiffs from other people, causing this really competitive nature. The one good thing about the place that I worked is they didn't have that competitive thing. It was all accumulative for everyone. It all stacked up in the oil bay. Everything sold in there was split between all of us. And I liked that a lot. Even if it meant that if I sold more things, which I did, I was technically getting paid less. But I was okay with it. The good old leftist mindset. I live it, I exist in it, and I seep in it. That's how you fucking do it, man. No fake leftism here. So, that's how it worked for me. Not too bad. And I got all the tire spiffs because I was the only one who did tires for the last little bit that I was there. So, that's fine. So I got a pretty decent check out of that. And they pay it monthly. It's alright. Now, that's not too sketchy. That's not too bad at all. In fact, most of the time, it wasn't that big a deal if people didn't purchase them, because dealership prices are higher. So, a lot of people wouldn't buy this shit. Most of the time, you'd have to look at it and be like, okay, is this an old person's car? Do they take care of their car really well? Well, maybe they'll buy. More likely. Where it gets interesting is what's called performance-based service pay plans. And that is for the service advisors. And as I talked about yesterday, the big thing that blew my mind with the pay discrepancy that I talked about on MR today was that I found out that a porter, which is pretty much, they wash cars, they park cars, they give customers ride homes. Important, but not skilled. Not a huge job that is super necessary. You got through an MR, that's quite an accomplishment these days. Not on the phones. I was the last IM of the day, which in all my many years of watching MR, this is the first time that happened, and it was for a good reason, and I got a bunch of follows from that, and I really hope those people stop by to hear this. Yeah, I got the fanfare. That was nice. And I go, da, 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 da. It was awesome. So let's talk about performance-based service pay plans. So, I got this pulled up to basically define it. Pay plans take a front-end approach to service success. Now, this is going to paint this very, very positively. But I'm going to point out the easy flaws in this. If you haven't been able to figure it out already, the flaws are glaring. Okay, so vehicle sales people are paid based on how much they sell, how much revenue they generate for the dealership. That's how you should pay your service providers too, as salespeople. This front-end approach to achieving 100% service absorption in the backbone starts with training your service providers to become salespeople. Your service providers should dress like, well, this is all just... Okay, let's get on to this. Comprehensive performance-based pay plan. So many dealers who I work with pay their advisors on labor sales only. Why would you pay a financial manager on finance reserve only and not on extended warranties? You probably answered no. Most service advisors are going to sell anywhere from 80 cents to $1.15. Okay, where does it talk about it? I skimmed this. I should have read it more because it doesn't give it. I was hoping to give like a better explanation, but here's the breakdown of what these performance-based plans are. Of course, they do get paid based on their what they sell. These are the people that write up the cars, tell the techs, hey, this is the complaint, search for the problem, and see what we can do, and they communicate with the customers. It's an important part of the whole process of getting your car fixed. So, what these things do, basically, after every customer gets their car done, they get a survey, either in the mail or directly. Usually directly. At my place, it was, here's your receipt, here's your survey, please fill it out. Because that's how they get paid. Based on the rating on their survey, they get paid. It completely adjusts everything else in their pay. It's to encourage them to give better service and be more friendly and to not piss off the customer. Are we starting to see the issue here? I mean, it's kind of fucking obvious. What if it's not the service advisor's fault? What if the customer's just an asshole? What if there's no way of pleasing them? And how do they know? How do the customers know that that's how they get paid? Now, this is a constant thing. See, today I dropped off my uniforms, and I apologize to my former coworkers who are just very lovely people. My problem was with management. And they all kind of felt like, they all told me that what I did wasn't wrong. They said, actually, we kind of have all been noticing that this has been going very downhill, that this place is a very toxic place to work at, and we're all trying to get out. And I'm like, well, you guys are going to get out the smart way. I did the dumb way. Fuck. Is what it is, I've already done it. I made my choice, and I'm going to move on from it. But there was that spark there where they said, yes, this is a problem. Because the big complaint that I hear is how they get paid. Now, they make pretty decent money doing this. No, nothing wrong there. Because, unfortunately, fortunately for them, they work at a place where service is very key. And they actually do care, But, shit. You get that bad survey, your shit tanks. One bad survey. One lady, for example, got pissed off because they couldn't fix the problem with her car because the problem wasn't actually with her car, per se. There was nothing wrong with her car. It was how she was driving it. And she didn't even buy the car from the dealership I worked at. But she filled out that survey and gave the service provider 0 out of 10. Yes, it's a 0 through 10 pay scale, meaning work was done. You know, it's $100 something to just get your car looked at. That's pay. That's money right there. And that's most of what she had. And they were like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with your car. You know, I'm sorry. What you're hearing is not an actual problem with the car. What you're hearing is a problem with kind of you. But you kind of can't say that. And they said, well, if you really feel like, you know, you want a different car, you got to take it back to the dealership that you got it from. And they were like, she's just like, oh, you know, I don't want to do that. You guys are my dealership. Even though she works right next to the dealership she got at. So, you can see the start of such problems. So let's say you get something that is entirely, not your fault. For example, let's say you're a giant automotive maker and you release a bunch of cars that you know are going to be fucked up, and they start coming back fucked up, and instead of actually accepting the blame for it and doing a giant recall, you decide to blame the customers for the cars coming back and saying, well, this is a you problem. And you start charging these people for problems that you know. Now, not small problems. I'm talking about like transmission issues. Like Ford. Ford recalled 1.3 million vehicles for suspension and transmission problems that they were blaming on customers. Just this year, this happened. Now, there's a whole lawsuit going on now to show that Ford should be paying their people properly for the problem that they helped cause. I'm sorry, I'm just going to move myself over here because I changed my camera again, and it's reversed, and it just looks weird for me to be looking off the screen. I feel much better about that. All right. So let's say you're in this position. Now, the advisors were told by Ford to never admit that the problem was actually with the car. They were told to basically deny it. And say, well, customer, if you want to pay for it, yeah, we'll get it fixed. But this isn't something with us. This isn't something covered under your warranty. Transmissions aren't covered under this. You know, how is this our problem with your Ford Focus or Fiesta? Two cars that sell really fucking well because they're for lower income people. Think the Chevy Cruze. Think the Chrysler 200. These cars are people. These people have cars that they can afford. Well, what happens if you're still paid by a survey? Well, this post came to me the other day, and, you know, on this car dealership life, and it's very interesting how they word things. Like, they're basically, you know, they're kind of bread pilling people who work at dealerships to see if they can get them to, there, that was bothering me, to unionize in some way or to fight against their employer. Like, they're very subtly hinting at it. Now, leftists like me, I picked up on it right away. I was like, hey, I fucking like this shit. But, well, that plus your performance pay scale, well, I saw this. Question: with Ford being sued for the DPS6 trans issue in the Focus and Fiesta, a malfunction they have been caught lying about, by the way, has anyone considered filing a lawsuit as a service manager or advisor who lost money or even their job because of poor CSI scores? That's that pay scale. We were told by Ford personnel to tell customers this issue was normal, even providing videos telling us how to present it to the customer as normal. I personally lost 10% of my commission. Every month, our CSI scores did not meet a benchmark. Eventually, I lost my job after being a service manager for 40 years because of a CSI score that was better than most in the district, but not good enough for management. So his shit tanked, and he got fired for things completely out of their control. Exactly. Rewarding the worker for doing exactly what they said. Punishing them, in fact. Now, dealerships are not owned by the car manufacturers. They're usually separate. There are some, co-mingling in that. There's obviously some, handshaking the other hand back and forth shit where they work together. Of course there is. Because this is the point of your sale. Of course the car manufacturer is going to want to have something to do with what's going on with the sale of their vehicles. My dog's here searching for food. Hi, Zo. But, the dealership still has to do their part. And they're private, for the most part. These scores, they basically make the decision to punish their workers for doing what they're told. And it doesn't matter what they actually did, because there's no way for them to know how they actually did. They just know that the survey came back bad. And because the survey came back bad, well, you failed the company. You fucked up. Except how? How can you fight against that? You just keep going. Most people are just going to go, no. Yeah, it was all good. I got my car back. It works. Whatever. The people who actually take their time to fill out the surveys, those are the people to watch out for. What if you're, I'm very particular. Like, I've always been someone, until I started working for Uber, I was always someone who said, well, I'm going to fill this survey out honestly. If I don't feel like I got a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10 service, which would be, what they say is over and above, I'm going to be honest there. It was good. I had a good ride. It was a little bumpy. Guy was a little jerky, speeded a little bit. I'll give him a 4. Then I worked for Uber and found out a 4.2 gets you blocked from the app. Yeah, I try to fill out surveys and be generous because normally that motivates people to fill out surveys as being pissed off. Yeah. See, I'm, you and me, rare breed. Very rare. I changed that about myself when I learned in Uber that you can actually be blocked from your income. Your source of income that you invested in to buy a car, to basically destroy your car, which is what happened to me, for this company, for their bottom end, so they can exploit you even more. So let's say you're less than honest and you have my perspective where you're going to fill it out honestly. And you just go, well, they didn't greet me right away when I came in. Because it's all a tiered system. It's several questions that are averaged out when it's all said and done. 0, 10. Let's say all the service providers are on the phone. It's really busy, so you didn't get the chance to say hello to them. Well, that person's pissed off. You've already hurt yourself financially. Now, there's nothing you can do because you have to answer the phones. You have to take care of those situations. You have to do that. I'm changing a bunch of shit about my stream because I don't like this either. There we go. I think that's still big enough to read, isn't it? I wish I could just make it less of a box. Just make it go straight down. Oh well. We'll make do. So then, your pay scale is not graded on, how you do. It's how well you're perceived to have done. And that's bullshit. Now, one of the service advisors who was basically the acting manager that day that I walked out, I went up to him and I apologized for doing that. And he said he didn't blame me. He said, I thought about it. I was mad. I'm not mad anymore. And I appreciate him a lot. I appreciate all my coworkers there, except for the coworker that was the final straw that made me walk the fuck out while flipping him off in his face, which is the thing that I did. I'm anger issues run in my family, we'll say. But I didn't hit him. I'm not violent. So, small credit? Maybe? I don't know. So, and he kind of said to me, I'm really noticing the problems here. There's a lot of problems with the way that our pay scale is judged. The way that we're looked at as employees by management. And it's true. Now, this is a way of... I would have beat him till I saw blood. I really thought about it. When he called me a fucking pussy for not doing the car that he was supposed to do, I saw red and I had to take a deep breath, and a younger Mark might have stepped up. An older Mark, well, he just decided bail. And I think I go back and forth on whether or not that was the right thing to do or not, but it was the choice that I made, so we just kind of... There's kind of no point in worrying about it too much. I'm playing with everything right now, trying to make this work. So yeah, dealerships are bullshit. The way they pay their workers is bullshit. It's also a really, really grueling schedule. A lot of times, they don't want to hire enough people to do the job. They just want to hire just enough to continually do the job. Now, what about days off? Well, you don't get days off. What would you need days off for? If you're not paid hourly, it doesn't really matter. You got to show up and you got to do your shit. Got to earn them surveys. If you are paid hourly, well, you're going to be working that plus overtime. So that's what killed me. From the beginning, I told him that, okay, I'll work overtime. I want 45 hours a week. I would like maybe a day off during the week so that I can maybe see my family, and then maybe a weekend off every now and then. Because at my last place, I was, I would have one day off in the middle of the week, and then that was it. I was working till Friday. Or Saturday, excuse me. Our Saturday shift was a lot longer than this place that I worked at now. And he told me, yes, I'll do that. I also told him I didn't want to be the only guy doing opening or closing. He's like, oh, you never have to worry about opening and loan. Which is why for months, I wound up being the guy who closed a loan. And there's a lot of shit to take care of with that. That was fun. Workers just have too little power nowadays, and employers know it. It's fucked up. Yes, it is. That's why I refuse to work weekends. I would definitely prefer not working weekends. I'm gonna take what I can get, obviously, when I do get another job. But I would prefer not to work weekends. That's the time I like to get shit done. My favorite jobs were Monday through Friday. I can do that shit. But yeah. And this isn't just my personal gripe. I want to definitely air this out because I was not a service advisor. I was not paid this way. I was paid hourly. But the environment I was very privy to. And I'm not the only one who is saying this. I've worked at a couple dealerships now. I've known people that worked at other dealerships. This is constant. At every single one. It doesn't matter. Now, some places are better than others. That is true. But it's the same constant flow of you're going to work a lot. You're hopefully going to earn a lot. And if you don't, it's not entirely in your control if you do. Basically putting it on not you to judge how you do. And not your manager to judge how you do. But people who may or may not know exactly what it is that you do. That seems pretty fucked up to me. And just another example of, capitalism finding a way to destroy workers. A lot of people talk about unionizing McDonald's, unionizing Walmarts and everything like that. I totally believe that. I'm totally down for that. Unionize fucking everything. There should be a call to unionize dealerships. I say that unequivocally, hands down.